Today is July the 13th. This is part 3 of our study of end times. Yesterday we looked at the book of Matthew chapter 24, and I want to read that verse to you again. And Jesus said, "When you therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place." And we're going to stop right there because in that verse, Jesus refers directly back to book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse 27. Now, verse 9:27 tells us several things we've already seen. Number one, it's a man. Number two, he's going to make an agreement, a treaty, or a covenant with a lot of people for 7 years. In the middle of that week, 3.5 years later, after it begins, he's going to go in and he's going to cause the Jewish offerings to stop, which means if there's a Jewish offering, there has to be a Jewish temple. So there'll be a Jewish temple built back, and he's going to go in and stop the offering. Now then, the only place on earth a Jewish temple can be built is on top of the Temple Mount. How can a man make such an agreement to have the Jewish temple built back on the Temple Mount? Well, let me give you my opinion. This is one idea. In the book of John, chapter 5, verse 43, Jesus said, "I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive." Now the Jews are looking for a Messiah. Islam is looking for a Messiah. As a matter of fact, every major religion in the world is looking for some type of Messiah. This man that comes evidently will be received by Islam and by Judaism as being their Messiah. He'll be Messiah for both, and being Messiah for Islam and for Judaism will give him the means to appease both sides and allow the temple to be built back on the Temple Mount where the Jews want it to be, where it has to be. Now then, back in Matthew again, where Jesus talked about the abomination of desolation, or the abomination that makes desolate, means empty. He goes on, and we're going to skip down. At that time, he says, when you see this happen, this abomination that makes desolate, when you see that happen, get out of town, run, take off, because this man is going to do his best to annihilate the Jews from that point on. So he says, if you're out in the field, don't go back. Take off, because it'll be a time of terrible trouble for the Jews. And does not God protect them, they would be completely annihilated. But God's going to protect them, so they're not. Now then, Jesus then tells us the time that the Great Tribulation will start. He says in verse 21 of Matthew 24 that we just are in, he says, "For then," when the abomination of desolation is set up, that's when. And when does that take place? That takes place 3.5 years after the agreement is made. The 7 years agreement is made. 3.5 years. Then, he says, shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So, Jesus said that the great tribulation will begin 3.5 years after this man makes the agreement for 7 years with a lot of people, Jews included, and there'll be tribulation such as has never, ever, ever been before. Now, of course, the question comes, what the world is this abomination? What could be so horrible that would cause God to unleash such terrible tribulation on the people? Well, we don't have time today to go into that, but tomorrow we will talk about exactly what this abomination that makes desolate is. So until tomorrow, I hope you have a blessed day today.